The chrome on 32 motorcycles gleamed under the Arizona sun as a convoy pulled into a truck stop just outside Phoenix. The sound of their engines was like rolling thunder, announcing their arrival in a way that made people nervous, made them stare, made them judge without knowing. This was the nomad chapter of a prominent motorcycle club, riding cross-country to a charity event in California. Big men in leather vests, their arms covered in tattoos that told stories of roads traveled and brothers lost. To most people looking at them through gas station windows, they were dangerous, outlaws, people to avoid. Marcus Tank. Williams was a road captain, responsible for keeping the group together during long rides. At 47, he'd been riding for 30 years, had seen every kind of road and every kind of trouble. His gray beard was braided, his leather vest worn soft with age, his expression perpetually serious in a way that made strangers nervous. What strangers didn't see was a photo Tank kept in his wallet. His daughter, gone 10 years now to cancer, smiling in her hospital bed, wearing a motorcycle club teddy bear he brought her. They didn't see the children's hospital he visited every month, reading to kids who reminded him of his little girl. They didn't see the soft heart beneath the hard exterior. The club had stopped for fuel and food, the bikers stretching their legs, making jokes, the easy camaraderie of men who'd chosen each other's family. Tank was filling his tank when he noticed her, a little girl, maybe 8 years old, sitting on the curb near the air pump, far from the other customers. She wore jeans with holes in the knees and a T-shirt that was too small, her dark hair tangled and unwashed. But it was her face that made Tank freeze, the fuel nozzle clicking as his tank filled unnoticed. She had a black eye, fresh, purple and swollen, and as she sat there, her small body was trembling, though the desert air was warm. She wasn't crying. She'd moved beyond tears to that place where children go when crying doesn't help anymore. Tank hung up the fuel nozzle and walked slowly toward her, not wanting to scare her, but unable to walk away. As he got closer, he could see more signs. Bruises on her arms. A split lip that was trying to heal. This wasn't a kid who'd fallen off a bike. This was a kid who was being hurt. "Hey there," Tank said softly, stopping several feet away, giving her space. "You okay?" The girl looked up at him, and Tank saw something in her eyes he'd never forget. Not fear of him, despite his size and his leather and his tattoos, but recognition, as if she'd been waiting for someone exactly like him. "Are you a dad?" she asked, her voice small and hopeful. The question hit Tank like a physical blow. "I was. My daughter, she's gone now, but I was her dad. Why do you ask?" The girl stood up slowly, and Tank could see how carefully she moved, like someone whose body hurt. She walked right up to him, tilting her head back to look up at his face, studying him with an intensity that was heartbreaking. "Because I need a dad, a real one, not like him." She pointed back toward the gas station store, where through the window Tank could see a man, probably in his 30s, buying beer and cigarettes. "He's my mom's boyfriend. He hurts me when she's at work. She doesn't believe me when I tell her. She says I'm lying to get attention." Tank felt rage building in his chest, the kind of protective fury that had gotten him in trouble before, but that he'd never learned to control when kids were being hurt. The other members of his club had noticed now, were drifting over, sensing something was wrong. "Please," the girl said, and her voice cracked. "Will you be my dad? Just for today? Just so he won't hurt me anymore? I saw you with all the other bikers, and I thought, maybe if I had a dad like you, someone big and scary, maybe he'd leave me alone." Tank knelt down to her level, this big, intimidating biker with tears forming in his eyes. "Sweetheart, what's your name?" "Lily." "Lily, I need you to listen to me. What's happening to you is wrong. Very wrong. And I'm going to help you, okay? Me and all my brothers here, we're going to make sure you're safe." Lily's eyes widened with hope and disbelief mixing together. "Really? You'll be my dad?" Tank looked back at his club brothers, who'd formed a semicircle around them, Every single one of them had gone quiet, their usual jokes and rough banter silenced by the sight of this little girl with a black eye asking a biker to be her father. Saw several of them wiping their eyes. "Yeah, kiddo," Tank said, his voice thick with emotion. "Today you've got 32 dads. And nobody's going to hurt you anymore." The man who'd been buying beer came out of the store, his expression already angry, already looking for the girl. When he saw her standing in the middle of 32 bikers, his face went pale. "Lily, get over here. Now." His voice tried to sound commanding, but came out thin and nervous. Lily pressed closer to Tank, her small hand gripping his leather vest. Tank stood slowly, putting himself between the man and the girl, his massive frame blocking her completely from view. Behind him, the rest of the club spread out, a wall of leather and muscle and barely controlled rage. "She's not going anywhere with you," Tank said, his voice calm but carrying the promise of violence if necessary. The man tried to bluster. "She's not your kid. You can't just—" "I can see what you've been doing to her," Tank interrupted. "Everyone can see it. So here's what's going to happen. You're going to stand right there while we call the police. And if you try to run, if you try to get to this girl, if you do anything except stand there, 32 of us are going to have a problem with that. You understand?" The man looked around at the bikers, saw their faces, and understood he had no options. He stood there, sweating in the Arizona heat, while Snake, one of the club members, called 911. Within 10 minutes, police cars arrived. Tank explained the situation, showed them Lily's injuries, explained how she'd approached them asking for protection. The officers looked skeptical at first, suspicious of a motorcycle club's involvement, but Lily's injuries spoke for themselves. They arrested the man on the spot. He was screaming about rights and lawsuits and lies, but nobody was listening. One of the officers, a woman named Rodriguez, knelt down to talk to Lily, gentle and professional. "We need to call your mother, sweetie, and we need to have a doctor look at you. You're safe now, okay? These men did the right thing calling us." Lily's mother arrived 20 minutes later, confused and defensive, ready to protect her boyfriend until she saw Lily's face, really saw it, saw the fear and the bruises and the truth her daughter had been trying to tell her for months. She broke down completely, holding Lily and apologizing over and over while Lily cried into her mother's shoulder. Child services arrived, medical professionals. The machinery of the system kicked into gear, slow and bureaucratic, but trying its best. Through it all, the motorcycle club waited. They'd missed their schedule, would be late to their event, but not one of them suggested leaving. Tank stood with Officer Rodriguez, explaining everything Lily had said, providing his contact information, agreeing to make statements. "You know," Rodriguez said, looking at the 32 bikers who'd formed a protective circle around this little girl they just met, "people see you guys, and they're afraid. They think you're criminals. But you probably just saved this kid's life." Tank watched Lily, who was being examined by paramedics while her mother held her hand. "My daughter died of cancer when she was 9. Every day I wish I could have saved her. Today, maybe I got a chance to save someone else's daughter. That's all that matters." Before they left, Lily broke away from her mother and ran to Tank. She wrapped her arms around his waist as far as they would reach, pressing her face against his leather vest. "Thank you for being my dad today," she whispered. Tank knelt down and hugged her carefully, mindfully of her injuries. "You're so brave, Lily. So brave to ask for help, to tell the truth. You saved yourself today. We just showed up when you needed us." "Will I see you again?" Lily asked. Tank pulled out a card with the club's information. "Your mom has my number now, and I'll check on you, okay? Make sure you're safe. Make sure you're healing. You're not alone anymore, Lily." 3 weeks later, Tank got a call he wasn't expecting. Lily's mother, Sarah, her voice emotional but strong. "Mr. Williams, I wanted to update you. The boyfriend is in jail awaiting trial. I've been going to therapy with Lily. We moved to a new apartment. And Lily asked if she could call you, if that's okay." Tank felt his throat tighten. Of course it's okay. Lily's voice came on the line, brighter than it had been at the gas station, but still carrying the weight of what she'd been through. Tank, are you still my dad? Tank smiled, tears in his eyes. Always, kiddo. How are you doing? Better. I don't have nightmares as much. And Mommy believes me now. But I miss you. All of you. The bikers. We miss you too, Lily. I have to do a presentation at school next month. About heroes. Can I do it about you? Tank's heart felt like it might break. Lily, I'm not a hero. You saved me, Lily interrupted. You and your brothers. When I asked you to be my dad, you said yes. Even though I was just a scared kid at a gas station, you said yes. After the call ended, Tank sat in the clubhouse with his brothers, telling them about Lily's request. The men who society feared, who children were taught to avoid, who were judged by their appearance rather than their actions. She wants to do a presentation about us, Tank said, at her school. Bull, his second-in-command, grinned. Then I guess we're going to school. Over the next month, Tank stayed in touch with Lily and Sarah. He sent care packages, called to check in, made sure Lily knew she hadn't been forgotten. The rest of the club did the same, sending cards and small gifts, wanting this little girl to know she had 32 protectors now. When the day of the presentation came, Tank organized something special. He called the school principal, explained the situation, got permission for what he wanted to do. He wanted Lily to know that asking for help hadn't been shameful. It had been the bravest thing she could have done. The morning of Lily's presentation, she stood backstage in her elementary school auditorium, her hands shaking as she held her note cards. Her mother stood beside her, supportive but nervous. The black eye had healed, the bruises had faded, but the emotional scars would take longer. The principal came backstage with confused expression. Lily, there are 32 motorcycles pulling into our parking lot. Very large men in leather vests. Your mother says you know about this. Lily's face lit up with the first genuine smile Sarah had seen from her daughter in months. They really came, from the auditorium. The sound of motorcycle engines could be heard, then silence as they shut down. The rumble of many boots walking through school hallways. Teachers and students peeking out of classrooms to see what was happening. Tank led his club to the front doors, all 32 of them, looking completely out of place in an elementary school, but walking with purpose and dignity. They'd all dressed in their cleanest vests, had made sure to look as presentable as intimidating bikers could look, because this wasn't about them. This was about Lily. They filed into the auditorium, filling the back rows, their presence impossible to ignore. The students and teachers who'd already gathered stared with wide eyes and whispered questions. The principal took the stage, clearly nervous but professional. Students, teachers, we have special guests today. Lily Martinez is going to share a presentation about heroes, and she's brought the heroes she wants to talk about. Lily walked onto the stage, small and brave, her voice trembling at first, but growing stronger as she spoke. She told them about the gas station, about being scared and hurt and not knowing what to do, about seeing the bikers and feeling, somehow, that they would help. Everyone told me to be afraid of men who look like that, Lily said, gesturing to the back of the auditorium where the club sat. They said bikers were dangerous, bad people. But when I was in danger, when I needed help, they were the only ones who stopped. They didn't walk past. They didn't ignore me. They said yes when I asked for help. She pulled out a poster board with photos. Tank at the gas station with her. The club members who'd sent her cards and gifts. Pictures she'd drawn of motorcycles and men in leather vests. Tank asked me why I wanted him to be my dad. I said because he looked strong. Because he looked like someone who could protect me. And I was right. He protected me. All of them did. They called the police. They stayed with me. They made sure I was safe. And they're still my friends. They still check on me. Lily's voice cracked with emotion. People think they're scary, but they're the kindest people I know. They saved my life. And I wanted everyone to know that heroes don't always look like what we expect. Sometimes heroes wear leather vests and ride motorcycles. Sometimes heroes are the people everyone else is afraid of. The auditorium erupted in applause. Students and teachers stood, clapping for this little girl's bravery and for the unexpected heroes sitting in the back row. Several teachers were crying. So were several of the bikers. Tank stood and walked down the aisle, every eye in the room following him. He climbed onto the stage and knelt beside Lily, this massive biker and this small girl who'd asked him to be her father for a day and had somehow become his daughter forever. He spoke into the microphone, his rough voice carrying across the silent auditorium. I lost my daughter 10 years ago. Every day since, I've carried that loss. When Lily asked me to be her dad, she gave me something I thought I'd lost forever, a chance to protect, to care, to be someone's hero. She thinks we saved her, but really, she saved all of us. She reminded us why we ride together, why we call ourselves brothers. Not for ourselves, but to be there when someone needs us. He looked at Lily. You asked 32 strangers for help. That took more courage than anything we've ever done. You're my hero, Lily. You always will be. Lily hugged him. And this time she wasn't a scared child at a gas station. She was a brave girl who'd survived, who'd fought back by asking for help, who'd changed the lives of 32 men just by trusting them when everyone said she shouldn't. 6 months later, Lily's 9th birthday party was held at the Motorcycle Club's clubhouse. Sarah had initially been hesitant, but Lily had insisted. This was her family now, the extended one she'd chosen, the one that had chosen her back. 32 bikers showed up with presents, with cake, with jokes and stories that made Lily laugh. They'd become part of her life, checking in regularly, attending her school events, being the positive male role model she'd never had. Tank watched Lily blow out her candles, surrounded by rough men with soft hearts, all of them singing happy birthday off-key and too loud. He thought about that day at the gas station, about a little girl with a black eye asking a stranger to be her father. Sarah approached him, coffee in hand, watching her daughter with eyes that no longer held fear. Thank you, she said for the 100th time, for saying yes, for seeing her, for helping when you could have just walked away. I'll never walk away from a kid who needs help, Tank replied. None of us will. Lily taught us that. She reminded us that beneath all the leather and the bikes and the tough exterior, we're still capable of being what someone needs. We're still capable of being heroes, even if we don't look like what people expect heroes to look like. As the party continued, Tank pulled out his wallet. Next to the photo of his daughter who died 10 years ago, he'd place a new photo. Lily, smiling, healthy, safe, surrounded by 32 bikers at her birthday party. 2 daughters, one gone but never forgotten, one found when he'd stopped expecting to find anything. Later, as the party wound down and the sun set over the Arizona desert, Lily climbed onto Tank's motorcycle, sitting on the seat while he stood beside it, both of them watching the sky turn orange and pink. Tank, Lily said quietly, when I grow up, I want to help kids like me. Kids who are scared, who need someone to protect them. You will, kiddo, you're already doing it. By being brave enough to ask for help, you showed other kids that it's okay to speak up, that there are people who will listen, who will help. That's changing the world, Lily. Will you still be my dad when I grow up? Tank smiled, his eyes misty. Always. Being a dad isn't about biology. It's about showing up, about being there, about loving someone enough to protect them. You asked me to be your dad for one day, but I signed up for forever, kiddo. You're stuck with me. Lily hugged him, and Tank held her close. This little girl who'd run up to a stranger at a gas station and asked the impossible, and in asking, had received more than she'd hoped for. Not just one father, but 32 protectors. Not just safety for one day, but a family for a lifetime. As the last of the sun disappeared below the horizon, and stars began to appear in the desert sky, Tank understood something profound. We're all looking for family, for belonging, for people who will show up when we need them. Sometimes that family looks nothing like what we expected. Sometimes it arrives on motorcycles, wearing leather, looking dangerous to everyone except the people who need them most. And sometimes when a child is brave enough to ask, "Will you be my dad?" the only possible answer is yes. Because being a hero isn't about how you look or what you ride or what people think of you. It's about saying yes when someone asks for help. It's about showing up when showing up matters. It's about being the person someone needs exactly when they need you most. The men society feared became the heroes a little girl needed. And in helping her, they found pieces of themselves they thought were lost. Proof that beneath the toughest exteriors beat hearts capable of the gentlest love. That the most unexpected people can become exactly who we need them to be when we're brave enough to ask. Sometimes, heroes wear leather and ride motorcycles. Sometimes, they're the people everyone else is afraid of. And sometimes all it takes to change everything is one small voice asking, "Will you be my dad?" And 32 voices answering always. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to like this video. It helps us share more beautiful stories like this one. Kindly drop a comment below and tell me where you're watching from. I like to know what part of the world engages with my story. Oh, also, don't forget to subscribe to my channel, Deep Cut Stories, for more emotional stories about love, kindness, and fate that'll touch your heart deeply. Thank you for watching.